President Muhammadu Buhari and his political party, the All Progressives Congress, have this week been fighting to maintain a unified House ahead of this month's nomination primaries. To put in proper context, ministers have been resigning and angling to come back to their former portfolios, all because of presidential ambitions which found their way to nowhere. But to illustrate this better for us, we have with us now Osita Okechukwu, who's a chieftain of the All Progressives Congress and also the Director General of Voice of Nigeria. You're welcome to the morning show. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Nigeria.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good to have you.
Good to have you with us. It has been a circus, to say the least. Definitely not just the APC's issue, but if we look at the APC, it's definitely been a circus of late. When we first heard sitting ministers make their intentions for the presidency clear, it started a debate of two things. On the one hand, you understand that everyone has a constitutional right to vie for the presidency should they wish. But if you are a minister, you are there at the request of the president. And should you have political ambitions, it is the correct legal and moral thing to do. Perhaps not legal, but it's the correct thing to do to step down from your position as a minister and focus on your presidential ambitions, which is why that directive came from the president earlier on in this week. But again, this being a circus, you've got people tendering their resignations. Resignations have been accepted, but now we're hearing reports of people feeling they can circle back and retain their positions as ministers. Break this down for us. How does this work and what side are you on? Do you think that these aspirants who have tendered their resignations or who will tender resignations starting tomorrow being Monday, do you think that they should be able to come back to their positions even after they resign? And even if their ambitions aren't successful at the primaries, do you think that there should be a path for them to find their way back to their original positions, or should they face their front and make their decision very clear? Tell us what you think.
Thanks very much. For me, I do not see anything wrong in what's going on in my great party, the APC. And if you liken what's going on, like the Nigerian political stock exchange or market, you will know that APC is in brand A1. That's been the case. Every other person that is an observer of what's going on knows outrightly that anyone that emerges as the presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress has 60 to 70% chances of becoming the president of Nigeria come May 29th, 2023. That being the case, some of the ministers found it worthy that they should also expect to succeed President Muhammadu Buhari to continue what he had been doing in terms of fiscal infrastructure and agrarian revolution. So for some of them that resigned, nobody will blame them. They are patriotic, they want to give service to the country. For some of those that say they are going back to the office, I think they're also very patriotic in terms of the fact that we are at the tail end of President Muhammadu Buhari's tenure or regime. So if you consider it worthy that the best you should do in the circumstances to come back to your desk and continue the job, I think we cannot, I won't find it faulty. For instance, if you talk, for instance, the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, SN, he has every good chance of becoming the governor of a Kebbi state. If he decides to stay back, I think it is patriotism. Because the state where he comes from, he has bright chances of becoming the governor. Even if there is anything, it is a dominant APC state. It has been the stronghold of the party for a long time. And I do not see what could have made it impossible for him to clinch the governorship ticket. So I do not see it as anything that anybody, I should think that we should also praise him for staying back for the rest of the few months that Mr. President might grant him, or the not more than 1 year, because this is May. Mr. President is handing over on May 29th. So if he decides that 12 months, he had to stay back for 12 months, I think it's more patriotic than personal or self-serving. I think it's uncommon loyalty to the country and by extension to Mr. President.
Well, there are allegations that after the president held that valedictory session on Friday, all 10 ministers in attendance had resigned, as suggested by senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana. Like you've just said, the Attorney General of the Federation and also Minister of Labour, Christine Ngige, both have denied that they've only just resigned their position, that they have not resigned their position, that they've only just withdrawn their political ambition. In fact, the Labour Minister has accused Femi Falana of spreading fake news and has given him 48 hours to apologize. What do you make of those allegations? And you know that some analysts are also saying that the Attorney General of the Federation, who first denied his Kebbi governorship ambition, only to announce that he is indeed running for the position, may come back after that deadline of resignation, which is tomorrow, to present some sort of waiver against his resignation.
And my understanding is that when Mr. President gave that directive, nobody, to the best of my knowledge, wrote any letter of resignation to Mr. President that he's going. So if the directive was given, and we go back to Mr. President and said, or after discussing with Mr. President, like you said, the Honorable Minister of Labour has other engagements. He has a ASU strike on his hand. He has a lot of burning issues that concerns the generality of Nigerians, especially our youths, to contend with. If in his own decision he decides that the best he could do in the circumstance is to be back to the desk, to continue to unlock the tango that is paining all of us Nigerians, that it is better for the country and it's better for all of us. I do not think that the distinguished Senator Ngige at any point wrote a letter of resignation to Mr. President, nor did Abubakar Malami or others that might come back to their desk on Monday. Because, as I said, we are brand A. Because of that, a lot of the quest, even when we came to this studio and other media to say that the 100 million is to scare people away, at the end of the day, they were not scared. So you could imagine if APC had charged 100,000 as nomination fee for the presidential slot. It means we could have had more than 1 million aspirants or contenders. So let us remember, one, that we are in a liberal democracy, and Nigeria in the realm of liberal democracy had attained the zenith of that echelon, where in a multi-party system liberal democracy, two parties become dominant. And when they become dominant, they become the party to beat. In this instance in Nigeria, you have the All Progressive Congress and People's Democratic Party. In similar countries of the world like the UK, you have the Conservative Party and the Labour Party. But a lot of people do not know that it's not only the Conservative Party and the Labour Party that are in England or in the UK, or only the Republican Party and the Democratic Party that are in the United States of America. They have over 10 or so political parties. But in liberal democracy under a multi-party system, along the line, two political parties emerge as dominant political parties. And when they do so, the contention of seats in those two dominant political parties becomes fierce. and such a struggle attracts more people. If today Osito Okechukwu is a presidential candidate of the Labour Party, even my wife will know that my chances of becoming the president of Nigeria by May 29th, 2023 is very slim. But if my in-laws hear that I'm presidential candidate of the APC, everybody, my enemies, will troop to my house. They will know that my chances are very bright. So I don't see it as a puzzle or anything absurd. It is the matter of the moment. It is the party to beat. This is a party that has governors in 22 states out of 36 of the Federation. They also dominate the National Assembly and the State House of Assembly across the country. So when you have such strength nationwide, you become brand A1 or brand A2. And when you are A1, your price or your premium in the stock market, political stock market will be very high. I think that's the situation the APC will find ourselves.
All right, Mr. Okechukwu, let's apply the brand A logic to the question of zoning. It was very clear at the beginning, just before there was a change of button, that APC, your party, will zone its presidential slot to the south. The question at that time was, will it be microzone to the southwest or to the southeast or south-south? It was that logic, I believe, that some people were touting the possible candidacy of the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, to come and do 4 years and then return. But all of a sudden, now that the NWC is in charge of the party for the next 90 days, we are now hearing that nothing has been zoned anywhere. And it looks like what PDP is doing, that anybody from anywhere will be able to contest. How is that a brand A or A1 legacy for a party that Nigerians were hoping that it will be fair, it will consider national character, and it will naturally zone power, its candidacy, to the south after 8 years of presidency in the north in President Muhammadu Buhari? Where are we, and what do you think is likely to happen now that we have barely 2.5 weeks to the primaries?
Thanks very much for your illumination on the process that is going on. But please, do not, by any stretch of imagination, place us side by side with the PDP. It is the PDP that had thrown its contest open and made it public. He has also gone ahead to also breach his own constitution that talks of rotation convention. For us in the APC, the preponderance viewpoint is that the party is going to select or elect its presidential candidate from the southern part of the country. And even polls already conducted by both international and local pollsters indicate that out of the 3 major contenders in the over 20-something aspirants that returned their forms, that the southern candidates are set up in the charts. The APC, yes, has nowhere in the APC constitution rotation of north and south. But we're also patriots that know that a Fourth Republic was birthed or anchored on a solid foundation consequent upon rotation convention, that the presidency should rotate between south and north to create a sense of belonging, equity, fairness, good conscience. So APC will not disappoint the Nigerian electorate along that line. Yes, there are northern contenders, but don't forget as well that we also have a leader of the party, Mr. President, who had said that he's keeping his own preference or preferred candidate to his chest. We have not heard from him, and to the best of my knowledge, the last I met him, or those who are even closer than myself, had not said that Mr. President had told them where he's going, or majority of the leadership of the APC. So the APC still stands that whatever that could bring sense of belonging, national unity, national loyalty. Because if you do not have a country, where are you going? So we still sincerely believe that the presidency is coming to the South. And if you ask me, you might say, yeah, because you are Igbo. We're also saying the Southeast, or Igbo as a whole, because there are Igbos in river states, there are Igbos in Delta. And if you go by that, on the sense that since our return to democracy in 1999, a lot of sacrifices were made by patriots like Alhaji Abubakar Rimi, Alhaji Adamu Chiroma, Alhaji Umaru Shinkafi, even Dr. Alex Ekweme, and Dr. Bonion, the current Minister of Science, the former Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation. He won a presidential ticket in Kaduna, and when he was appealed that the Nigerian state had decided that the unity of the country and the corporate existence is more important than his personal interest, that they want to go to the Southwest. He obeyed that like others, and the then two major candidates became Chief Olusegun Obasanjo and Olufalaye. And in 2007, it was also Umaru Musa Yar'Adua versus President Muhammadu Buhari. And in 2019, the major contenders was also Muhammadu Buhari and Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. And I think it had been based on the unity of our dear country, the harmony, and the corporate existence that we're a poorer society who have not just reached the zenith, where if you throw it open, it becomes the best. I could imagine those in PDP who are trying to breed their own constitution because of their muzzle. They were not looking at the best interest of the country, but I know the electorate will give them the red card because they did so in 2019. One of the main factors why the incumbent president then, President Goodluck Jonathan, lost was because he breached the zoning convention between the North and South. A lot of people do forget that in distribution curve of the electorate of each country of the world, that about 70% are not partisan, but they hold their cards of voting. And some of them are not noisy. They don't even have anybody to talk to. But on the voting day, and that is why it's the secret ballot system. And that is why I must commend Mr. President and the National Assembly for validating the vote rigging vaccine. That's the Electoral Act 2022, that provides that there will be electronic accreditation of result at the polling units, electronic transmission of result at the polling units. So if you are trying to manipulate the process, it is going to be more difficult than it used to be.
Allow me to quickly cut in there just to be on the same page. Are you saying clearly, therefore, that the statement credited to the chairman of your party, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, that there hasn't been any agreement as to zoning and as to the manner in which the primaries will be conducted was erroneous, and he should either apologize or clarify his statement? Because from what you are saying, what is fair and what is expected will be for APC to zone power, to zone presidency to the South. I just wanted, a firm clarification on that regarding what the chairman said.
No, you wouldn't go ahead to in any way blame the chairman because unlike the PDP, we don't have it in our constitution. When we presented Mr. President in 2014 at the presidential primaries in Lagos, if you cast your mind back, there were 5 candidates, 5 aspirants. Mr. President, distinguished Senator Kwankwaso, His Excellency Atiku Abubakar, only Rochas Okorocha, against all advices, was the only southerner in the ticket, and my good friend of blessed memory, Simon Dazaya. 4 northerners. And even the delegate at that election, where President Muhammadu Buhari did not in any way influence any delegate, placed Rochas Okorocha, I think he was second to last, which shows a sign of the zoning I'm talking about. There was no day. I was a member of the merger committee of the APC. We did not include that. But there is what we call the handshake agreement. If you ask any lawyer of any hue, they'll tell you that there are agreements that are unwritten. Why do we say that the UK has unwritten constitution? Because they rely on conventions. In the public domain, there's a law with its legal teeth, and the convention with its moral high ground. And most laws drive their meaning and their living from that perspective of conventions. And I think that the rotation convention is one. So there's no way I could stand up here and say that distinguished Senator Abdullahi Adamu will go ahead to say, oh yes, we've zoned it to the southeast, we've zoned it to the southwest or south-south. It wouldn't make sense if it does so. And this is a party that has its own internal rules, where the president of the country has told the party that you must find a way to source for your funds from membership to run their affairs. That he is not going to use the money he's using for rail lines, or for roads, or for water dams, or for agriculture to fund the APC. For that sake, that the membership must find a way to fund the APC. If you ask anybody you know, there's no one chairman in the country that is paid from the state government or the federal government, nor local government chairman, nor the state chairman of a APC or the national chairman or any officer of the APC. That is our culture. That is our own convention. So you won't blame him. One, he knows that the party has its own idea of what is good for the country and what is good for persons. That is the exact thing. So it's not about him pronouncing, oh, we are going here. Why would he say so? Otherwise, we won't today have up to 25 presidential aspirants, paid 100 million naira each. By arithmetic, it's about 2.5 billion. Then we have over 100 gubernatorial aspirants, 50 billion each. For those I normally fail arithmetic or mathematics, so I wouldn't get the exact figures. So the party has its own convention and rules that we cannot go public. Or the chairman of the party, distinguished Senator Abdullahi Adamu, to come and say, no, go and sit down, you are not part of the race. No, we don't do that.
All right, Mr. Okechukwu. Well, I mean, I get your point, but at least let me ask this, not related to that directly, but just to say that when you, again, I'm back to the brand, the brand A and the A1, rhetoric, to say that at this time, when we have, for example, an attorney general who wanted to run to Kebbi to be governor, and back, we're still struggling with whether he has resigned or not. But much more than that is also the question, as you're aware, of the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, who has, of course, declared that he's a member of the party, is no longer running, etc. There are many things that are not clear. We heard that Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, the president of the AFDB, has purchased and submitted a form Is he a member of your party? I would like to address quickly, those two areas especially. The CBN governor being a card-carrying member of your party. We're not aware if he was a member of the PDP because the PDP president appointed him in 2014. And then is Dr. Akinwumi Adesina a member of your party and would therefore be vying to be the candidate of the party?
After our registration on July 31st, 2013, by November, when we had the PDP, NPDP, led by His Excellency then, Rotimi Amaechi, Bukola Saraki, and others, we had a convention, an emergency convention, where we deleted entry into APC. We said if it is less than 1 hour, we don't mind, provided the word of that person agrees that he should be registered. So we opened our doors. So we are liberal to that extent. Abubakar Malami said, I still continue to say that in this same medium, Arise, another television station, and even my Voice of Nigeria, I've seen interviewers saying Malami is leaving the Justice Ministry because he wants to go to become governor and have immunity. So if somebody had that opportunity to become a governor of a state, to have immunity for 4 years or 8 years, and he declined to go, I think we should commend him. On the governor of Central Bank, for God's sake, let's let sleeping dog lie. Because at the close of submission of forms, I was in the secretariat of our great party and I didn't say his name. So let's not talk about that one. Other key with me, the entry into the APC and even dismissal is at the ward level. I know him as a prominent Nigerian, but to be honest with you, I don't know his ward chairman to clarify whether he's a member. But as I said, we opened the door far back in an emergency convention of 2013. And in that convention, basically, we said we're opening the door. That's why today, the national chairman of the APC, a former PDP, the national secretary of APC is former PDP, the national treasurer of APC, the three most important offices that we have in our party are APC. The only three names registered in INEC. So we are liberal, we are accommodating. We believe that in the dialectical process, that we will, by changing and changing, we'll get Nigerian people the best they can have by economic growth and prosperity. That's why Mr. President started with infrastructural. While the PDP for 60 years were talking of sharing money, the president said no. The little that comes in must go to infrastructural development because without concrete infrastructure on the ground, the private sector will not do well, the state itself will not do well, and the community will not do well. That's where we are.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us on the morning show.